course, doesn't help anything. It was really a Cinderella story for Ferlito the other night, and we'll see what happens tonight. Vault is one of the apparatus where the women are very highly ranked together, all except, of course, Victoria Komova. And if you look at the marks from qualification, we'll see that Komova scored a 15.7.
That's literally vaulting ahead of the rest.
It is, and in fact, that was the highest score in the entire qualification of any apparatus for the women. The next highest score for women on vault was a 14.2
From Ferlito.
From Ferlito, and that shows you that's 1.5 points behind 0.5 points behind the Russian. That's almost on a very high degree of difficulty, and she shows us tremendous execution. The Gymnastics Press is touting her as a possible gold medalist in all four of the women's apparatus. And now the athletes are making their entry into the stadium here at Bichon Sports Hall. The 8 young ladies who will be competing on the vault. In the front of the line is Marìa Vargas of Spain, followed by the young petite Victoria Komova wearing the green petite Victoria Komova wearing the green leotard. And at the end of the line is Madeline Gardner of Canada.
Well, what is very interesting to keep in mind is the fact that on the vault, the second or the third highest score actually came from Transition of China, and she isn't really taking part in the individual event, but we'll see her on the uneven bars later.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Very disappointed the other day to have been edged out of a bronze medal, and that was Natsumi Sasada of Japan, but we shall of course see her in action today. Marìa Vargas of Spain. Well, the little princess, or we'd like to call her the future queen of gymnastics, maybe someday Victoria Komova, Vika Komova as we've come to know her. Bianca Zabina Mitigo of Hungary, Hermie Freitas of Brazil, and that was a little gold wonder, Carlotta Ferlito of Italy. Diana Polimar of Romania, another little package of energy.
Diana Polimar measures 1.36 meters. There's Natsumi Sasada, a young woman who finished 4th in the all-around final. That was a very painful defeat for her, but tonight is another night, and tonight certainly Sasada has a very good chance for a medal. And now the ladies run over to the vault. It's virtually like track and field as they go to warm up, very short warm-up period, and then we'll get into the actual competition. Now, one thing to note about vault is you'll see a little clock device with Omega on it. And that device, you'll see the athlete's degree of difficulty stated. It'll be interesting to see how these degrees of difficulty compare. Now, many of you might recall the old Perfect 10. That was the previous scoring system in gymnastics in use until 2006. That system does no longer exist. Scores. There were two difficulty judges, basically adding all the elements that the gymnasts are showing them. There's no limit to the amount of difficulty that an athlete can perform in a routine, of course, just the time limit. And then the E-judges are basically marking down for faults on execution. There are 4 execution judges. The top score and the bottom score are thrown out. The 2 remaining E scores remain. And then the final score is a combination of the 2 difficulty scores plus the 2 execution scores. I know that's very, very complicated, but that's how the system works. And that's why difficulty is so important, because you can start out with a much easier vault, be much more likely not to have any faults. But if your difficulty is very low, it's going to be very difficult, even with perfect execution, to try to better an athlete who has good execution and much greater difficulty.
Oh, let's not forget the vault. It's one of those events where we do see, of course, the men normally have more solid landings, and that has a lot to do, of course, with the laws of physics, I'd say, more than anything else. Also leg muscles, well, a lot of other things put together which help you plant yourself forward with their twisting or their topping or their tumbling while they move through the air with their twist and their salto. But Madeline Gardner Also another one of those gymnasts, we will get a chance to see her today, who had a very dismal time with her individual all-round event. Well, this time around, could redeem herself. A lot of those gymnasts today who've not really been in the list of medals could just walk away with one. You just never know, like we've been watching Marìa Vargas, who's had some fairly good vaults during her warm-ups, but you never know. Some of those that really give us those very light, easy warm-ups, stumble over, fall down. When the final jump comes, you see real magic churn through the air.
Yeah, a few days ago I watched Victoria Komova in training at the training hall, and it was amazing to watch very limited and very halting training, and really getting the sense that maybe Komova was on her best form. So clearly that was just training, and competition is completely something else. This young lady is Bianca Jabina Mitiko of Hungary. She's the only athlete in this...
Who's got mistletoe?
Yes, indeed, in this apparatus who did not actually qualify for the all-around. So this is Mitiko's best apparatus. She had a 12.65 in qualification, which was the 7th best score. Carlito, as you pointed out earlier, had the 2nd best score in this apparatus. And again, unless Vika Komova has a dreadful disaster, which anything's possible, I think we should really watch for Komova and Sasada and Bolimar to compete for that 2nd and 3rd place. Komova comes from the Russian city of Voronezh, which is in the eastern part of European Russia, near the Ural Mountains. As we said the other day, it's got a multimedia link, a blog. It has a guest book, a forum, even a sponsors link. 3-time gold medalist on the uneven bars, balance beam, and all around at the 2009 Japan Junior International. She won 3 gold medals also at the 2009 European Youth Olympic Festival. Those were on the uneven bars, balance beam, and all arounds. And of course, she now also holds a gold medal, garnered a few nights ago here at the inaugural Youth Olympic Games in Singapore. A gold medal which was a very masterful victory.
A very commanding performance from her right through. A very commanding performance from her right throughout. On every single apparatus, Victoria Komova, we were truly amazed by what she had to offer. But let's remind you about one key element when it comes to Komova. She actually has a website which, if you do go and check it out, she gets a whole lot of hits every day, which means she has a fan following at such a young age. Well, it normally happens to gymnasts who've been in the international competition. And very good warm-up there from Diana Bolimar, and showing us a good level of difficulty. You do wonder what's going to be the story, of course, when she finally takes her vault, and that's going to happen in just a little bit. So once again, let's run you by the competition and all those who will be taking part in the vault. It's going to be Marìa Vargas of Mitiko of Hungary, Hermie Freitas of Brazil, Carlotta Ferolito of Italy, Diana Bolimar of Romania, Natsumi Sasada of Japan, and Madeline Gardner of Canada. But first up, getting ready to show us what she's made of right here on the vault, it will be Marìa Vargas of Spain.
Marìa Vargas of Spain gave us a 13.75 in qualification, but then later a 14.25 in the final. She's doing a 4.40 difficulty vault. Let's watch. Yurchenko. Done. Very smooth, very easy looking. And of course,
not too high on difficulty.
Correct. That'll be the issue. Even with a perfect 10 on execution, the most that she can hope for is a 14.4. We put that in perspective with the 15.7 that Komova scored in qualification. And right there is an apt example of why you need difficulty in order to win medals in gymnastics.
Well, especially something like the vault, where it's just one move of the vault and a few seconds to display what you're made of, unlike the floor routine or any of the other apparatus. This is just one big opportunity split into a few seconds.
So Marìa Vargas has a first vault score of 13.55, 9.15 in execution. Her second vault will be a degree of difficulty of 5.0. Vault will be a degree of difficulty of 5.0, so she's attempting a more difficult vault.
Well, if she nails it well, she could scale past that 14 mark, and then remember the cumulative scores are so important.
And Marìa Vargas now ready for her vault. Nicely done. Full split on the end. And we'll see where that leaves Vargas. She was 4th best in the apparatus in qualification, tied with 3 others, where she did a 13.75. And of course, a lot of heated competition in this apparatus, as in all the apparatus in tonight's gymnastics.
Well, pretty strong there off the vault. Well, gives us the Sukahara. Good work from Marìa Vargas. A slight step back for final adjustment, but fairly decent performance from her. 14.05 votes, what she scores on the second vault, and a cumulative score of 13.800. Is that going to be big enough or good enough for her to stay in the running for?
Here goes Victoria Komova with the 6.5 difficulty vault. Yurchenko, wow, just a little misstep on the landing, but given the difficulty, that's going to put the young Russian well in the lead. And coach Gennady Yevsimov walks up to the podium and gives her a little pat on the back.